Good morning, everyone. BL Carter here, hoping that you are doing well and working on your puzzle one piece at a time. Today's topic is going to be about targeted individuals. And there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet, on YouTube, and everywhere else about the targeting programs. So I won't go into a lot of detail here, but I specifically want to put this out there for those of you that follow me, even the ones that follow me and don't comment, but I know you're following. If you're still living under a rock, if you still have your head in the sand, if you're still in la la land somewhere, this is a wake up for you. The term targeted individual is becoming more and more not common, but more well known. Now that various programs like COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, etc., have been declassified and made public, and a Freedom of Information Act filing can gain a whole lot of information. But it's been going on for some time now. And I know there was the female, I can't call her name right now, that defected, I guess you would, from the Church of Scientology. And she went through a heavy dose, if you will. Wrote a book about it, and she persevered, and her story's out there. But I need people to know that this has been going on. It's not just with her. It wasn't just with the Church of Scientology. We know it happened at the federal level, and it has been made public, if you will. Access to the program or access to putting people on the list, if you will, has gone public. It's not just a government thing anymore. An employer, a neighbor, somebody you don't like who has access or influence to someone who can get this done. Churches, other organizations to which you may belong. Could be your mama, could be someone in your family. Various entities and agencies, groups, organizations will have access to place someone in this program, in these programs. And they're varying levels, varying phases. And again, like I said, I won't go into a lot of detail of that. I'm just giving an overview because we've got some more stuff coming that's going to be a little bit more detailed so that you can follow along. But the people who are targeted, many of them experience it to some degree on a lower scale, especially if they're outspoken, if they're self-thinkers, if they don't conform to whatever someone says they must do. If they have something to tell that the targeting agency or organization or group or person might not want told, persons who fall in those categories are subject to be targeted. Because the TI, which would be a targeted individual, because the TI endures multiple facets of abuse with intent to just destroy their life, even up to the point of death, and this abuse is prolonged over an extended period of time. For those of you living under a rock, when you come out from under that rock, do yourself a favor and do a favor to all the TIs. Don't suggest mental health care. Don't suggest helping them. You are basically, in effect, placing fault and blame on them, telling them the feelings, the thoughts, the emotions, the symptoms, the physiological symptoms that they're enduring as a result of a very real situation is in their head, and they need mental health care, and it's somehow their fault. Somehow, they're the ones who can control it. Do yourselves a favor, don't do that. Do the TIs a favor and don't do it. I know one difficulty in believing, for those of you who are still under a rock, in believing that this exists is that if you have a good heart, just at the very core of who you are, you're a good person. It's hard for you to think bad or evil or destruction to this level because you're just, your body's not wired to do that. Your cells, your DNA, everything about you doesn't do that because you gravitate to the good side. But once you can grasp your head around the fact that this does exist, this level of evil, bad, destruction, intentional does exist, then you're getting somewhere. But it takes conscious effort and to get clarity in the actual belief that it does exist, and even more so to believe the TI when they say to you all these crazy things are going on, etc. You won't look at them like they're crazy and recommend some daggone mental health pills. You will actually give them credit and work with them or help them in whatever way. They might need, a place to stay. They might need, a couple dollars. They might just need you to write a letter for them. I don't know. They might just need you to support them, just to sit and listen. They might need you to help think and help strategize different things. You never know what it is. So let's dig in. Just like I said, a few overview points. A person is targeted when there's a concerted effort to stop, to block, to destroy, or even kill someone, or to get them to kill themselves, to push them to suicide. And that kill can be physical, it can be financial, emotional, psychological, just all kinds of spiritual. Just the intent to push them to a total, utter, miserable existence, if you will, with no enjoyment in life, no pleasures, nothing, none of the needs met, none of the joy, to isolate them where they have no friends, no family, no employment, no nothing, if you will, and to just exist, preferably on the street or in a mental health hospital somewhere, drugged up, with no credibility, no nothing. And that's oftentimes the last step before they either take themselves out, someone takes them out, or they disappear. A person can be targeted, like I said earlier. Could be family, could be your friend or so-called friend, could be an enemy, an employer, any one of the government agencies from local all the way up to federal, or I guess you can say what with that UN level stuff, one world order type of stuff. Could be a church, any other organization to which you belong. And the ones who kind of put you into the targeted individual status, they elicit others to help them. They will elicit your friends and family. They will elicit utility companies, law enforcement, businesses, your neighbors, other agencies that you may have to interact with. Anybody they can to effect their goal, they're going to elicit. At the same time, the targeter is setting up the victim or the TI. That targeter is pretending, oh, you know what? I got your best interest at heart. Or they're pretending to have no knowledge, no information, no connection at all. This is what they're doing publicly, but behind the scenes, they are doing everything they can to set up a TI for this destruction. One common thread I've seen with the TIs that I've been in contact with, they have trouble getting people, even those that are close to them, to believe them. I mean, it's like a TI will have, let's say their parents. Their parents know them. They birthed them. They raised them. They know the character who they are. Yet someone can help the parents believe something totally different about this child, about their child, who happens to be a TI. And the parents will sway to what they're told instead of what they know. Instead of, let's say if the TI is 30 years old, instead of what they've known of that TI for the last 30 years, they will drop all of that and believe what they're being told by someone else. That's the difficulty in here. Because if you live 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years with a certain level of character, a certain level of integrity, doing things a certain way, How is it that someone, I don't give a good god darn who it is, can come to you and start telling you stuff about a person and you begin to roll with what they're saying instead of what you know to be true about that person? And I say, if you fall for it and you begin to go along with the new narrative about that person, you're just as guilty as the person targeting them from the beginning. You have become a participant in the unjust, unfair, orchestrated demise of someone else, whether it's your friend, family, whoever it is. Even if it's a daggone enemy, a neighbor, someone you don't know, you have become a known participant in the orchestrated and unjust demise of someone. So, another thing they do in these programs is they isolate the victim however they can. Isolation is always a key. In any sort of abuse, isolation is a key to get you away from your friends, your family, any means of support in any way that they can. If they have to get into your life, break up your marriage, break up your relationship with your best friend, cause conflict between you and your parents, cause conflict between you and your neighbors. Whoever has been a support or can be a support to you, they will destroy that at all costs to keep you isolated. That's part of the psychological impact. In addition, if you're isolated, you cannot get the physical support that you may need to endure. They will come after the victim's finances. And that serves two purposes. A, they don't have money to fight back. They come after your finances, get you uh, fired from your job, uh, do all kinds of things with your banking, with your credit, all that other kind of stuff to keep you from being able to have any money or any money to do anything with. Then you can't pay a private investigator to do some research for you, at least, and get you information so you know you're working with. And to some degree, the finances, they'll attack them to the point where you can't even pay for a place to stay. And you wind up on the street. And that adds yet another level of psychological impact. You fall into depression, especially if you're a person who, and I talked with someone just earlier this week, if you're a person who's always maintained, did everything you needed to do, not rich, but you've done what you needed to do, and their mind is just blown. How do I get here? A, how did I get into this? And B, they're just still trying to grasp. And they're dealing with the depression of where they are now, which doesn't match everything that they've done in their life, every seed that they've sown, all the actions, all the work that they put forth. What they see today doesn't match what they've done. So the targeters, they will send people to befriend the TI and to get as much information as they can about the TI. And they will plant seeds in you against the victim. So they could actually call, for example, my brother. They say I'm the TI, and they might call my brother and befriend him somehow and start planting seeds, negative seeds about me in him. So eventually he and I are not talking to each other. Eventually he's got an attitude with me. Or he's mentioning things and I'm responding and we're back and forth. The next thing you know, we're not talking to each other. They will have random strangers deploy various things when you're out. For example, you may see, when you go out today, everybody you look at, or every other person, every fourth person, whatever the frequency may be, is doing a particular hand gesture. Everybody might be wearing a certain color. And it just has the psychological impact. They won't do anything to you. They're just going to be in your face in that, let's pick red, for example. They're just going to be in your face in red. Might be a whole bunch of red cars around you. And this is orchestrated. This is not by chance. There is no daggone coincidence. I remember being in, I remember a time when I'd identified vehicles around me. Well, I won't tell my story about the TI program at this point. I'll leave that for another because this is just an overview. These targeters, they will help to orchestrate random vehicle accidents or mishaps or minor brushes or even running off the road, to where every time you get in the car, you're driving and either there's some fender bender, might be some hit and runs, might be somebody moving into your lane and almost running you off the road. And it will happen over and over and over to the point where you're scared to drive. Because again, what does that do? That debilitates you. It psychologically impacts you to where you can't even go outside your home. They want you living in fear and isolation and with nothing. This is their goal. It's sick. It is sick as all get out. They will use electronics, and I mean to the hilt. They will hit your emails. They might even create another email account. They're going to spoof yours and send out random porn pictures to people and stuff, because what does that do? That tears down your character. They might look into your emails to see what's going on in your personal business, because that gives them leverage in areas that they can try to create misery in your life. They will hit your social media accounts and do all kinds of dastardly deeds with those. They will tamper with your actual financial accounts, your bank account, your credit cards, any account that you have. They will tamper with it in some way just to create havoc for you. Public records and databases, oh yeah, they love those. They'll go in, and you might have been the pillar of financial prosperity. By the time they get through in that public records database, in those databases, you're a pauper. You've been making $5,000 a year. That's your only income. Uh, you owe every Tom, Dick, and Harry from here to Timbuktu. You paid no bills. No, I mean, they can mesh, and they will do this. And this is computerized. That they're using computers to do it. But it happens. People are not crazy. They're not making stuff up. They're not assuming some person just randomly just no. This is orchestrated. It is strategic, and it has an intent. They will do whatever they can to prevent people from listening to you. Whatever they can, if it means they have to cut off your communication, if they have to make your name and destroy your credibility so to the point that people don't even want to hear you. Or I've seen this done where they will plant such seeds in someone's head that that person is scared to even talk to you. They're scared to even pick up the phone and talk to you, because so much was planted about you to them. They will, and for those who actually will listen, take the time to listen to you, they've been conditioned. And their conditioning is to get you to, go get a sleeping pill, go see a therapist, you need someone to talk to, or, you know what, you need to pray a little bit more and let Jesus fix it, to pacify you. They will condition them to pretty much target your mental state, or anything else that they can put in them to get them to not believe what you say is true. Whatever you say has got to be a lie. It can't be true. You've lied. You're a liar. You're a liar. You're a liar. You can't believe what she says. She's mental. She's off her rocker. She's schizophrenic. She's bipolar. She's I don't know. Give me something else. Dissociative identity. This is just whatever. They will give any kind of mental things that they can to discredit you, so that whatever comes out your mouth, even if it's the God's honest truth, it is a lie in the eyes of those, or in the ears of those who are hearing it, because they're the ones who've been conditioned to not believe truth. These targeters, they will use whatever weakness the victim has and exploit it to make them weaker. So, for example, if your weakness is, I don't know, diabetes, they will do everything they can to exacerbate your diabetes. They will figure out ways for you to have trouble getting your medicine. Figure out ways for you to have trouble eating the way you're supposed to eat. For all they know, they could conveniently reassign your endocrinologist to where, you got to start all over finding a new one. that wants to do a different protocol. And then when you try that different protocol, it's got you all messed up and just all kinds of chaos. Oh, yeah, they will stop at nothing. Um, they will do whatever it takes pretty much to neutralize the threat. And for whatever reason, you are a threat to them. Whether it's a real threat or whether it's a perceived threat, you are a threat to them in some way. You might not be, it might just be that you're a nonconformist. You think for yourself. You don't go along with the program just to go along. You don't, what how do you say, go along to get along? No, you think for yourself. And if you're not in agreement, you speak up. That could be your only threat. If it's someone who is just jealous of you for whatever reason, the threat could be that you're doing so well and they're not. If it's, for example, a church that might be doing some inappropriate stuff and they know you're aware of it, the threat that you pose to them is telling, is revealing what's going on. Or if you're a church/cult and you're defecting, you're trying to leave, and they don't want you to leave and share what you went through behind their doors. So that's a threat. Whatever you can possibly say, do, whatever you may know that would put a monkey wrench in their plans for whatever it is they're doing makes you a threat. And they will carry out their plot over time. They don't have to do it in 30 days. They don't have to do it in 6 months. They will carry this out over a period of years. And one of the things with that, the prolonged time, the longer they do it, the worse the impact to you, whether it's physically, financially, socially, psychologically, emotionally, whatever way. But it also helps wear down whatever support that you do have. So the TI, you know what? I'm a TI. And I've got 4 diehard friends, and I got my mom and my daddy. So everyone else has cut me loose. They've written me off with my 4 friends and my mom and my daddy. Now, if they drag out this targeting over a period of 5 or 6 years, how many of those 4 friends and mom and daddy are going to still be by my side? If we had a plan to never let me go anywhere by myself. So every time I leave the house, someone's in the car with me. They drag this out over a period of years. Do you think those people are going to commit that much time out of their lives for me? No, eventually they're going to fall away. And eventually they fall away and fall away. And eventually the TI is the one they're fighting and dealing with it by themselves. That is by design. They will seek to sabotage everything the TI does. Everything. So the TI eventually, over time, gets in their minds that they're a failure. They can't succeed at anything, so you may as well just stop trying. And that's kind of what they call unconventional warfare. Oftentimes, the TIs have been slated for death. But you can't just kill someone. You have to kill them slowly, if you will. And so a lot of this targeting is leading up to death, whether the death is done by someone else or whether they get you to commit suicide or whatever the case, or a mysterious car accident, whatever it is, but it's leading up to death. Or, and then throw in there kidnapping. You know, people are vanishing left and right these days, so it could be kidnapping. I don't know, let's say you got some good kidneys and a good liver and an excellent heart and all that other good stuff that somebody may think they want. So they wouldn't actually just kill you and leave you. They're going to kidnap you, get your stuff, and then, butcher you up, and I don't know, who knows what they'll do with the body. But all of these methods, these things will occur just before the final takedown. Because again, if you're isolated, there's no one looking for you. If you're by yourself and you disappear, you get killed or whatever the case may be, you have a mysterious death, you mysteriously hang yourself in the middle of the woods, there's no one looking for you. It may be 30 days, 60 days, a month before someone begins to look. And at that point, the trail is ice cold. If your finances are messed up, as I said earlier, you can't hire a PI. And you've probably borrowed so much from all your your 6 diehard people over time, that at this point they won't even take your calls, or at this point they won't even help you, I don't know, get your medicine for your diabetes. Who knows? One other thing, if you ever get into court, and mind you, I said if, because oftentimes law enforcement won't even take your reports. And if they take your report, it's unofficially filed as the crazy woman down the street. Or I've seen report information get modified. I've seen that with my own 2 eyes. But if you ever get into court, your word's not given credibility. I've seen open and shut court cases for TIs get totally flipped, the law totally flipped upside down against the TI. And they've got open and shut case. Proof positive, solid, rock solid evidence. And I've seen it just pretty much discarded to come up with an outcome that the targeters wanted. I've seen it with my own 2 eyes. And their goals, of course, to continue hiding whatever it is they're doing, to continue whatever their program or their plan is, and to eliminate and or neutralize any threat to whatever it is they're doing. Or they could be punishing you for whatever wrong they think you did. Well, you know what? I might have, I don't know, mowed my neighbor's yard an inch below in one little spot by accident. And okay, so I get to be punished for that. Or, I don't know, you might be insubordinate to your supervisor one day, who knows? And all of a sudden you get thrown into a program. That's the level of evil this is, because people are not doing things to warrant the level of destruction that is being brought into their lives. People are not doing anything to warrant this. It's being done to them for whatever reason. And all of you who are assisting with it, who are sitting back in la la land, who are saying just pray, read Psalms 91 or 37 or whatever the case may be, you're just as guilty for all the TIs that are being hurt, that are being destroyed, that are being killed. You all are just as guilty because you sit back and you say and do nothing. And we have this program. It continues and is becoming more rampant and more widespread. It's beyond military. It is in the public domain, basically, or the unofficial public domain. Anybody can be thrown into the program. And of course, we know there's the government mind control programs that are being tested and deployed with the intent to create, a nation of non-thinking drones. Targeting falls under several things. As I've said, defamation, identity theft, gangstalking, bullying, various internet crimes, illegal surveillance, harassment, even, filing false reports. Get to court, perjury, obstructing justice, tampering with evidence, you name it, all kinds of violations, whether they're just moral, whether they're actual penal code violations. And guess what? Nothing happens to the people doing this, because those of you who have the ability to stand with and support the TI, you still think they're crazy. You still think something's wrong. So, just a couple things. Do some research or do some searching on targeted individuals, gang stalking. Dr. Sean Andrews, PhD, Sean Andrews has done some material on it. There is a couple websites, Freedom for Targeted Individuals and StopGangStalkingCrimes.com. So that's 3 sources you can start with to look. StopGangStalkingCrimes.com. The second one, Freedom for Targeted Individuals. And then the third person, look up Dr. Sean, Sean Andrews. He's a PhD, and he's got some material. And there's also one more I'm thinking of, Richard Lighthouse. He has a website as well, and he's got some good information out there. And just to sum this up really quickly, because I was having this conversation with someone just the other day, and these are the final points that we came to, because they wanted to know why. I can't tell them a why. I don't know. But there are some things we did come up with. Like we said, is something they did knowingly or unknowingly to make someone mad. So this is punishment because they made someone mad. 2, something they know. They probably don't even know they know it, but they know something. And whatever that is, the targeter does not want it out. So they're going to preemptively destroy them, destroy the TI, so the TI does not realize, hey, wait a minute, I know this, let me go tell it. Nope, because you've already been destroyed before you even realized you knew what you knew. And number 3, something in the targeted individual makes them, I guess you could say, a climate changer, an environment changer. Chances are they have a good heart. Chances are they've done a whole lot of great things in their life, many accolades, etc., and all of that. The world we live in does not favor those things, does not honor those things. And so the TI, because they're inherently a different person of a different character and a different level of integrity and commitment and honor, doesn't jive with the plan of having a nation or a world of drones, non-thinking, conforming, totally uniform, all one, do as told, don't think beyond that society. I'm going to leave it with that, other than to say, if someone you know comes to you, if they feel comfortable enough to come to you and say they feel like they're being targeted, do us all a favor. Believe them. Believe them. Support them. They're entitled to it. They're being persecuted, crucified, destroyed, denigrated, harassed, you name it. Everything that you can think of negative is being done to them unfairly, 9 times out of 10. That being the case, this is just a precursor, because we've got something coming up later in the week. It's going to be a little bit more detailed, but again, keep your eyes and ears open, people. Work on your puzzle one piece at a time. Take care.